entertaining podcasts I listen to. I don't listen to many. That one, Francine, is a different point of view. It's a female point of view, but someone who's been through the hardcore wars.
Yes.
So what Francine has to say to me matters and is important. And there are two guys up in New York, Monte and the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
I find them hugely entertaining. I find them fun to listen to. But those three are the only three podcasts really other than, the PW Insider stuff that I listen to at all.
Big Ron Shaw here, the Earl of Upsets, telling you to watch my friends, Monte and the Pharaoh, on Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast show, and soon to be the world's #1 wrestling podcast show. That is going to be a big upset.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, where Jimmy is in his room, Monte's in his room, and our special guest, pro wrestling legend, Doug Gilbert, he's in his room. 3 men in a room.
3 men in a room.
Guys, I guess we all are in our rooms.
You ain't kidding. I was just thinking about this, Doug. Todd Gordon, friend of the show, great guy. When you were in ECW or Eastern Championship Wrestling at the time.
Right.
I don't know if you're aware, but Todd is having some major health issues. We haven't found out really exactly what's going on. Again, our prayers are out there for Todd, great guy. But can you tell us a little bit about Todd Gordon?
Well, I was going to ask you about Todd. Somebody told me he died. He didn't die.
Are you kidding?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, actually. I shouldn't say that.
What? You know what, man? Hold on. I got it. What a scumbag.
Hey, you told me I could say whatever I want. But no, I don't mean that bad or anything. But somebody did call and tell me that Todd's health was having health issues. So y'all guys probably know more about that than I do, right?
Yeah, Mike, I tried calling him the other day.
Dude, I'm totally fucked up right now. He just fucked me up. I can't recover now.
Come on.
Hey, I apologize. Hey, look.
He apologized. Okay, go ahead. I believe you, Doug. I really do.
Y'all guys are gonna laugh. I just spoke with Todd the last 2 years. I hadn't talked to him in freaking 30 years or something. And I've talked to him twice in the last 2 years or so and everything. He sends me messages every once in a while and stuff and everything. But actually, just talking to me and him talked in Philadelphia a couple times and everything. Like I said, that's in 30 years. That's 2 times. But y'all fellas talk to Todd often, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. Until he got sick, almost weekly, at least text weekly. I mean, I don't want to over exaggerate it, but Todd, when we first met him, he's just always been a gentleman, and he's been a fan of the show, and we've run ideas by each other. And Doug, I'm going to ask you this. I mean, we all know what ECW meant to pro wrestling, right? Where does Todd? Obviously Heyman is the guy, right? That everybody, the genius, the guy who made ECW, blah, blah, blah. Why do you think Todd doesn't get enough credit for what he accomplished? Because, everything's got a spark, right?
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, fellas, and I don't know that y'all guys, I don't know how long y'all have known Todd. I've known Todd since the days my brother took me over to Todd and his wife and his kids. I'd say his first wife. I don't know how many times he's been married, but I think his original wife's house and everything when he was a business guy in Philadelphia, when ECW, Eastern Championship Wrestling, was just getting started. And Todd was not trying to be one of the boys. Todd was just Todd Gordon, the jeweler that was a big wrestling fan and everything. And he was a big fan of my brother's. And Todd was, I mean, I always got along well with Todd. And I think the reason, as far as is he don't get credit as far as what y'all guys are saying, in which he was the one. I mean, my brother was under guarantee with Todd, and my brother lived up there in Philly for about a year and a half or so, and I lived up there between tours of Japan, and that was real cool and everything. But I don't think the people, as far as like of Philly and different places around the world, but I think it starts at Philly, will give a guy credit for putting the money up. Now, what Todd did, he was the money guy, and he was the one that paid my brother. My brother was the booking guy. And I think with how y'all fellas know, and I mean, what used to have been called smart fans or whatever, or northern fans or whatever you want to call it, but they never really respected, as far as just a person putting the money up. They would respect more the guys working in the ring and busting their ass, or the booker who was booking all this, making it good. Wouldn't y'all guys agree with that?
No, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's
Do you think?
that's
Do you
totally fair.
think? Do you think that the business itself? Look, the business is cutthroat. We all know that. Do you think
Right.
that the Sharks just ate Todd alive at the end
Yeah,
of the day?
you know, Jimmy, can
Well-
I just add on to that? So, Doug, that's a great question, Jimmy, and I just want to add on. Did you guys, like, you and your brother salivate when you had someone like again, I'm not trying to insult Todd, but like, here we go, we got a money mark, let's just eat them up like the fans.
No, I don't think nobody. I don't think my brother was like that, and I sure wasn't like that. To be honest, fellas, you want me to tell you the truth? I never liked Philadelphia that much. I mean, it was, as far as living and everything. Now, my brother was cool up north. He liked, and don't get me wrong, I like up north. I just didn't like living in Philadelphia all the time. I liked coming in for a shot and get to hang out with my friends and stuff for 2 or 3 days. But my brother was cool living there, and like I mean, they produce the TVs and do all that. Him and Eddie Todd was tied there for a good long while, I think. And but no, as far as Eddie wanted that to do well. I mean, he wanted to be a promotion that would thrive, and what I would used to call it, what I would call it, Memphis North. Different people have laughed at me for saying that, but look at the different angles and the TV, and tell me it wasn't a lot Memphisy, but using the guys that Eddie had to use. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. The guys that Eddie had that he could make something of to use in ACW. If it wasn't real Memphisy, I don't know what it was. But like I said, I would call it Memphis North.
Would you say that the credit that Todd Gordon does or doesn't get is accurate as the way it is today?
As far as you say, credit that he gets or doesn't get?
Yeah, like would you say where he is in the scheme of things as far as fan perception and how it all turned out? Listen, like I don't claim to know him better than you do. You knew him back in the day, but
Right.
since we've known Todd, we've been to conventions where Todd is sitting at his table and Heyman's at the same convention, and we see a line going down the block for Heyman. It's got to hurt. So, do you think that Todd is like in a fair place as far as fan perception, and should his line be longer? I don't know what I'm trying to ask you, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I kind of got you. It's like as far as people have asked me different times about the business, and which I mean, you said, is it a fair place? Well, it's not. It would be a perception, and is it fair when the business that you're in is not really fair? You know what I'm saying? That's not answering really what you're saying, but
Yeah.
a business that doesn't, it's for me to try to answer your question. A business that doesn't make sense, do we think it is going to make sense? You know what I mean? I mean, I can answer it a lot of different ways, but I mean, and you know what, man, I want everybody to do well. I want everybody to make money. I want y'all fellas I want this show. I want everybody to watch it. I got a lot of stuff I'd like to plug on here before we get off. But anyway, it's tied to me, in which, like I said, I knew him from the get-go. Like, I mean, Eddie met him a year or two before I did, from working with Joel Goodhart and the different guys. And I think that's how Todd wound up coming into, which y'all guys know this probably better than I do, because I've never asked Todd that. I went to Todd's house, like I was saying before, with him and his wife and his kids and my brother. They'd invite me and Eddie over. We'd go eat dinner with him and everything. But the main thing, and y'all was asking me about, like, did Eddie love having somebody just like that had money to throw it in a business? Eddie got his guarantee, but he always worked hard and, I mean, went out of his way to do things for Todd. So I wouldn't think Todd would say, well, I say that, and he could say something bad, but I wouldn't think he would say too much bad about my brother. But now, and like y'all were saying about Paul, now Paul is the guy, and I'm not knocking this or nothing, but Paul was for Paul. I mean, and that's not saying nothing bad, is it, fellas? I mean, we all want everybody to do good, but look, man, everywhere my brother went, there's one thing I can say. If you look at all the different territories where my brother went, who kept Paul a job, kept him in the business? If y'all guys look at that, you'd see all the different territories where my brother went to first, and who would he bring in? He'd bring Paul. Well, and the cool thing, people can say this, and like, well, y'all said it a while ago, and I think, oh my gosh, here we go, people saying this again, but Paul being a genius. Where Paul learned everything he knew about the wrestling business from was from my brother. And y'all can ask who you want. Everybody might have their own perception of it and everything. But now, to be honest, I think I think he had the right perspective. He wanted a promotion. And like I said, I think people looked at Memphis as far as a Southern promotion, and Texas and the different promotions. But there needed to be something in Philadelphia or Baltimore or somewhere, just like the Memphis territory was. And I think that's what Todd's angle was, to get the Philadelphia area going. And when the people bought into it, guys, they bought into it so much. I told Eddie, I said, when I'd work up there and everything, I said, man, this is like a cult type deal. And he would laugh at me when I'd say that, but that's really what I kind of thought. But he got that from, did y'all guys ever go, or did y'all know the TWA Joel Goodhart shows any at all? Did y'all?
We've had Joel Goodhart show. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that right? So,
yes,
I mean, did y'all ever see any of the matches from like the shows he put on? I mean, they was some hardcore type stuff also, but that was the basic of ECW. And now Todd probably don't, between us three, probably don't get enough credit for what he did to get it started. But I think the fans give more credit probably to my brother. And then after he left, you know, the ones that didn't even know my brother, then they give all the credit to Paul and thought that ECW was started by Paul, and actually it really wasn't. But I mean, it's however anybody wants to see it or believe it, guys.
So let me ask you this, since you're just talking about that subject. So talk about not getting enough credit. Your brother, who, again, we're just wrestling fans, so we only know from documentaries or what shoot interviews said. Eddie, our first, when me and Jimmy started watching wrestling, Eddie was this little guy who was scrubbed, like an enhancement. Did I just use the word scrub? I can't believe I did that. Enhancement talent in the early WWF days that me and Jimmy were. And then Eddie started to grow the reputation. But the point that I'm getting to is Eddie doesn't get enough credit for being a genius also. But the real question I want to ask you, considering what a genius he was, how come Vince McMahon Jr. didn't find his way to Eddie and bring him to help the WWF in like the earlier days before Hogan or before or after?
He actually did, but that would have been in 87-ish, 87, somewhere like that. And I might be a tad off, but you'll probably know the year from some of these folks. But it was when my brother was booking, when Mid-South turned to UWF. Vince was swallowing up Watts' talent. My brother wound up being the booker of the UWF. Well, right here's what happened. Before my brother got the book in UWF, he had talked to Vince. So Vince was going to fly him up, and they talked about a couple of different scenarios, but he was going to be in the office, but Vince wanted to use him as a manager or as a mouthpiece, and which my brother just wanted to work. He didn't really want to be a manager. He wanted to work, but they talked about him being in the office. Well, what Eddie did was he used that as leverage, which I guess anybody, a smart guy, would do. He called Bill Watts. He'd come home to Memphis, and he called Bill Watts, and he said, either I want the book or I'm going to work for Vince. And Bill Watts wound up calling back and said, I'll give you the book. So Eddie stayed with Watts because it was all, like you said, as far as Eddie being smart and being a good booker and having a great mind. Well, like I said, that was Eddie's leverage that was his job, to be the booker of UWF. And that's what he believed in, the territory, he believed in the talent. But you got to realize at that point is when Vince was swallowing everybody up. I mean, he took about everybody that Watts had, but then, Jim Crockett bought out Watts right after this time. And then, man, you're talking about the change that I saw. Now, that's when you got to realize this was, like I said, 87, 88. That's right when I started, and I went to work for Watts in. So when you start during the midst of all this, and then, you've got Dusty and all Crockett's guys coming into, like, they still booked the UWF, and Eddie would book it, but then Dusty would, like, put himself and one or two other guys on there, and like Eddie would just put them at the top of the card or next to last or whatever, and then put the UWF guys around that. But they would come in. But I'm sure y'all guys during the history, y'all have heard a little bit about that.
Eddie, I as I think about Eddie, I take two things out of what you're saying, Doug. It seems to me like, obviously, like, why would he not want Eddie as far as the in-ring stuff? And Mike, we know it already. It's got to be because he thought Eddie was too small, because that's Vince McMahon. It's 1987 or so. So there's that. I'm also amazed that you have to be impressed that at a very young age, because Eddie's young. Eddie is named a booker. Right. How many guys were his age were doing this back then? Right?
Yeah, you got to figure Eddie's 25 years old.
Come on. So do you also think there was a potential, personality clash anyway that would have happened between Eddie and Vince? Because Eddie is his own man. Vince McMahon doesn't want people to be their own men. Usually.
And they probably would have been, but I think Eddie would have. I think it would have been different for Eddie and everything. I don't really think he would have liked it, because here was the thing, and y'all fellas know this, and y'all have had to talk to enough guys. I've talked a couple of my friends that's been on your show and everything. They tell me you're cool about all the older stuff. But here's the thing: my brother thought, and it was old school style, but you should have a booker, and the booker should have an assistant, and then you could have, if it was us three guys, I mean, he could listen to us. If y'all was two of his guys and I was one of his guys, we could throw ideas off of him. And if your idea was better than his, he didn't care to use your idea. But that's where my brother was different than most bookers and everything. But I mean, my brother was really cool as far as about his talent and the crew from bottom to top. Everybody could talk to him. And if you had something you wanted to shoot off of him, he would listen to it. But now, if he thought his was better, he would do his. But if he thought yours was close and it could change something, he would put your idea in with his and change stuff up. And it did make things a lot better.
Do you, as his brother, when he decides he's going to go back to Louisiana, do you say to him, "You're making an epic mistake here"? I mean, it kind of seems clear that Eddie he loved wrestling more than he loved money, right? Because if he hangs out at WWE and gets that type of role, that dude could possibly swim in cash, right?
He's definitely getting money, but he's young and he's still great in the ring. So where do you think? Yeah. Where does this lie?
Well, and it's like y'all fellas said a while ago. You got to realize when Vince told him that and because I mean, I thought my brother was great in the ring. I loved working with him. I thought he was great at promos. He had the charisma and everything. But what y'all guys just said earlier, you got to realize Vince Jr. Size-wise was everything to Vince Jr. Now, Vince Sr., when y'all was talking about y'all maybe seeing my brother like an 80, 81, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Vince Sr. come to Puerto Rico where my brother and father was wrestling at. And Vince Sr. had watched my brother work, and he'd watched Kurt Hennig work. And Vince Sr. loved Kurt, and Vince Sr. loved my brother. Well, I laughed at Eddie one time. He said, "You know what?" said, might have been better for me if Vince Jr. would have loved my work and as much as his dad did. But his dad really loved my brother and Kurt and everything. And but yeah, I remember Eddie saying that. Said it might have been good if Vince Jr. loved my work as much as his dad did. But that I guess wasn't the case. But like I said, Vince Jr. wanted Eddie for his mind though, and like I said, Eddie. I think when he got up there and, you had all, and I mean, heck, you still got some of them today around, I think, or not, most of them might be gone now, but y'all guys remember what I'm talking about in 80 with the guys that Vince had around him. I mean, as far as, those guys stayed there forever, didn't they? I mean, they might as well have been drawing a pension because they was there for like 30 something years or so.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's
and I don't think my brother could have. I think if he would have went like y'all guys are saying, and I think if he would have just played his cards right and kept his mouth shut, he could have probably done real well. But that wasn't my brother's. And I don't mean this in a negative way. That wasn't Eddie's strong suit. His strong suit was telling people the truth about what he thought. Now, whether you thought it or I thought it, there's a few things I didn't agree with him on, but he was steady to his thinking, his book, and his logic, and 90-something% of the time it all worked.
Well, it's funny, Doug. I had a very difficult question on this, and I think you're kind of answering it. Was Eddie, the rise and fall of Eddie, the great Eddie Gilbert, was he his own worst enemy? But it sounds to me like if you really knew him, sure, maybe public perception would say, "Oh, he was his own worst enemy," but
Hey,
it sounds like his greatest strengths were the things that.
hey, fellas, can we not all three say this? If we're saying something negative about ourselves, could we not probably say that about all three of ourselves? I think probably so, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
And
absolutely.
that's my only thing. And I'm not trying to get out of answering the question because I'll answer anything about you ask me.
Sure.
But yeah, my brother, and like I sit here and said, man, I rode more miles with my brother, went to about every territory with him that he went to, and man, me and my brother was best friends. And that's one of the hardest things in life. I mean, you don't want people to go through this, but you're usually going to go through losing your parents and your siblings and everything. But man, it was tough. It was a tough pill for me to swallow, being 24 years old. And I mean, me and my brother was real tight. And when they called and gave me the news, I was in Nashville. Which y'all fellas know, my partner, like you said, this Memphis Mafia shirt. The last two of the Memphis Mafia that's still alive today is myself and Wildfire Tommy Rich. And in 1990, about two, I would say, there was a little faction, and it was my brother, myself, Wildfire Tommy Rich, Nature Boy Buddy Landell, and Too Sexy Brian Christopher. Now I'd say that's a pretty good hill crew there for a territory, right, guys?
I agree. Totally agree.
And myself and Tommy are the last two. Man, it was tough. On me when I was in Nashville. I'd done Memphis TV that morning. I was on the way to Nashville. I got to Nashville. I was in the dressing room, and Eddie Marlin and Randy Hill said they come to the dressing room, and you know what it is. Eddie Marlin's Jerry Jarrett's father-in-law. He's the promoter, the boss, right, and everything. So they come to the dressing room, and they said, "Doug, can I see you out back?" Fellas, y'all know the first thing I was thinking, right? What have I done now? What I was trying to think, what have I done in the last day or two that they can be calling me out back, and they're going to try to say I've done something wrong. So I'll go out back, and I'm thinking, well, I've done something, but I'll hear in a minute. So then they asked me, they say, have you talked to anybody? And I said, no, fellas, I haven't. What's going on? And they said, well, man, we hate to tell you this, but your brother passed away. And man, that's it's a tough pill to swallow when you're, whether you're a younger man or older man or whatever, which, I mean, you always think, here's the thing, guys, and y'all probably don't do this either. None of us, like, I've got a lot of pictures with my brother because me and him was brothers, but as far as with Eddie, but here's the thing, we never think there's going to be a day that when we don't see anyone again. Just as far as us on the road, us guys, I want to say rascals, but I don't mean just rascals. I mean, y'all fellas and everybody else, we don't think there's ever a day. And fellas, we think so much that we're so invincible. Now I don't know if that's a funny thing or a sad thing to say, but we never think there's going to be a day that something happens to us when we was also young. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
We never looked. We never looked ahead of that. We never got, like me and other people. I never had really pictures. None of us guys did, like, made with each other, because we always thought we was going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And it's just different.
Doug, you're bringing up really emotional points. So I'm going to ask you this. You come from one of the great wrestling families, from your father to yourself to your brother.
Right.
I'd be hard pressed not to ask this question, right? You grow up with your father. I first want to ask you your relationship with your father. And if I'm assuming what the answer is going to be, was there any point there was professional jealousy between you and your brother for your father's not love, but appreciation for the work that you do in the ring? And basically, was there ever professional jealousy between it? So it's kind of a two question. I want to know how your relationship with your great dad was, and then was there jealousy between you and your brother at any point?
You know what? I can honestly say that I think myself and my brother both, we looked up to my dad so much. And if you look, I mean, and a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people say it's more in the South than anywhere else, and that's probably so. But my dad was such a great wrestler. And I mean, he was a great man also, but he was a great father. But he was such a great wrestler. Like, anytime they brought in, say, Luthiers here down south to Memphis or whatever, and like say he was going to stay for a week or two and work programs and everything. Who he worked programs with? He worked programs with my dad, and that's one of the things which I'll always, and I'll tell y'all fellas this. Me and Eddie respected my dad so much. My dad was such a great wrestler, and I will tell everybody that ever asked me this. To me, my dad, as far as me and my brother looking at it, was the greatest wrestler. And then I look at Eddie and I say, you know what, my brother was a great wrestler, but Eddie, the difference was Eddie was a great entertainer also. Well, my dad was more just old school into the mat wrestling. And like I said, with Luthiers and Nelson Royal and any one of those guys that come in here and mat wrestle you for 30 minutes or an hour and everything. Now, my brother could go out there and go an hour with you and entertain you. I mean, but my brother was a great wrestler also. But I just tell guys, it's not bad to be third when you're compared to my dad, Tommy Gilbert, or your brother, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. I don't care for him to say, hey, Doug's third best. You know what? If you're third best with them two above you, you're not doing too bad. And as far as the jealousy goes, no, man, like I said, my brother was live. We was thick. We was tight, and I had his back. I don't know if y'all fellas ever heard the story about us being in the sportatorium, and I'd just been out there working with my brother. I think I was a North American champion at that time. And man, if you ever worked or you had anybody or on your show asking about working with my brother, how my brother would push you. Well, he'd always push me, and man, I would about 3/4 way blowed up. And when the match was over, and I was sitting in the back trying to catch my breath, well, I heard my brother coming towards me in the back. And somebody had jumped on him from behind and hit him. And I mean, me and him had just got done working. And when I walked around the corner, I looked and I seen the guy swinging at him. Well, I pulled his shoulder like this, and I hit the guy. And I hit him. And when I hit him, I ducked, and he swung over me. And I hit him again. About the third time, I ducked up too soon, and he clipped me on the chin. Well, I hit him one more time, but it was, I don't know, y'all guys ever heard of Jeff Gaylord?
No, I can't say I have.
Well, they called him, he played football for Missouri, the University of Missouri. They called him the Missouri Tiger when he wrestled here, but he was a big old gassed up dude and everything. But what they said was that, when my brother had started booking GWF, which y'all remember the show that was on ESPN for like every afternoon and everything.
I do.
Well, that's where we was doing the tapings, was at the sportatorium. And so this guy, they say somebody sent him and paid him like $1,000 to supposedly hurt my brother, so because he wouldn't booking the guys if they wanted booked in Dallas and everything. But I don't know how that went. But anyway, what they said, he wound up going to a show that next night. This was like on Friday night. On Saturday night, they said he went to a show and he had a big cut on his head. Well, what I didn't say to y'all, when I hit him that first time, I had a Coke bottle in my hand. So when I slammed it across his head, it busted his eye open and everything. But like I said, me and my brother was always tight. I always had my brother's back. And man, like I said, as far as, anybody can criticize, and y'all probably seen maybe an interview or two that I've done. People ask, what's the first thing people want to ask? Well, what did y'all do? What did you go? Did you have doctors? Did you have prescriptions? I said, look, fellas, I never said we was choir boys. I've said that. I mean, what more can you say than that when people ask you different questions about things? Did we do everything right? Probably not. Fellas, how many people have you had on here that has done everything right?
Oh, the percentage of pure is very, very low, as to be expected. But real quick, though, where does Eddie get the entertainment gene? You and your dad seem like you were cut a little closer to each other. Eddie's got this entertainment gene. Where does that come from? Where did he get the ideas that made Eddie Gilbert who he was in the ring and how he thought as a promoter? Where does it come from?
Man, I think my brother grew up. My brother was such a smart kid growing up and everything. I mean, he wrote, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but he wrote stories from when he was like 13 years old to 18 for Bill Apter and Pro Wrestling Illustrated. If y'all guys ever pick up or look at some old magazines that people have and stuff, you'll see that my brother, he'd write a lot of stories for Bill Apter and everything. And man, he always just, as far as booking, he always booked from when he was a kid. Like he would go, like when I got to be 6, 7 years old, I'd get to go to the Mid-South Coliseum with my dad. When my brother was that age, he would get to go and everything. But he would book from when he was a kid on to he grew up and got into business and everything. And I think all he ever wanted to be was was just like my dad and everything. And then here's the kicker. Then he, I don't want to say he fell in love, but he loved Jerry Lawler, and he loved different I guess you shouldn't say gimmicks, but different gimmicks and over the top stuff. But he liked to push limits and everything. And back in those days, if you look at some of that Continental Wrestling Federation, did y'all ever see any of that?
Yep.
Anything that Alabama? You know, I laughed at somebody the other day. They sent me a question. Said, Doug, did your brother feel like it was pushing the limits when he done an angle with Tom Pritchard and Dirty White Boy, where he was saying that Tony Anthony had pushed his wife or girlfriend? I said, no. I said, you know, in those days, it's funny what you would get in trouble for now. You know, you couldn't do probably you know, you couldn't do what we did back then. But to us, that wasn't a big deal. But my brother's thinking and everything, it was on the edge, I guess, of things. But it drew money and stuff. I mean, you just had to think outside the box a little bit. And I think Eddie thought outside the box a lot. And I think a lot of people look back at things and think, why would he have done this? Or why would he say this in public? Well, because he was wanting the people to know it. You know, he wouldn't have said it if he didn't want everybody to know it.
Well, you know, you mentioned Jerry Lawler and you're mentioning the Memphis territory. You're pretty well known for one of the great shoot interviews in Memphis, right? Can you explain what the hell happened that time?
We was all just it's one of them times when probably it would have been better not to cut a promo when you done one, but you know what, it's so many different people says different things about it, and different people have asked me, so, oh, they said you got fired. I said, oh no, I didn't get fired. I said, we was just working. But you talking about the funniest thing, which here's the thing, we got hot. The only person that fired me more than Jerry Lawler was my brother. And I tell people that, and they laugh at me, but I think that's really the truth. And I used to say that to Eddie. I'd say, the only person fired me more than you is Jerry Lawler. I said, now what's that about? And but here's the thing. The one thing about that promo that I did, and most people don't know, was, you know, and Memphis they laid out, like Jerry Jarrett would lay out TVs for months. Lawler never did. Like he would come to TV, and as he was walking the door, he might be booking his TV, but some of the best stuff that you ever saw was stuff that had just came up with as they was walking in the door, or Lawler would just be writing it as kind of before the TV show went, and it would be some of the best stuff, just ad lib, you know what I'm saying? I mean, some of that stuff was some of the best stuff. But now that promo, they had told me what they was going to do on TV for 3 weeks. I'd been in Japan for 3 weeks, and I come back, and one of my buddies showed me the TVs, and I said, gosh, I said, I don't think that's too good. But fellas, y'all know what, when something's funny, when you're putting angles to draw money, I mean, if you've got segments to have something funny that is funny, that's one thing. But when you're building for your show on Monday night, Tuesday night, or Wednesday night, and they're putting you in a spot to draw money, and then they tell you they're going to do something, and they change the whole TV to make it funny, I don't think y'all fellas or anybody else, y'all would probably kind of had the same thought I did about, well, you're not giving me a chance to see if I can draw money. You're just having what you think is entertaining, but a funny TV show. Now, I don't know what y'all fellas think, but funny had never, I don't even care if it's for Vince or if WCW was going or Dallas or every territory was going. To me, funny hasn't been drawing money. It's just funny. I mean, y'all guys can tell me somebody that was funny that drew a little bit of money, but not.
No, it's an additive. It's not a preservative in the formula.
Right. That was kind of my thought. Well, what they done was done like funny stuff for 2 or 3 weeks, and I kind of got hot, and I probably shouldn't have, but it's one of the times that, like I said, I just went on TV. And you know, one of the deals was, I guess the best thing for me was I loved Japan because as long as you worked hard in Japan, it wasn't a whole lot of politics or anything. You know, as long as you worked hard and you bust your tail, they didn't lie to you. You was always going to come back. I mean, I could go every other month if I wanted to stay 3 weeks or a month, and you make a real good living and everything, and there was no politics. So it, you know, that part of it suited me well, but it was the, like I said, being gone and being lied to a little bit and everything. Like you said, there's so many different promos. You know, I see that one promo, people says that Eddie got fired for cutting when he said he wasn't the redheaded stepchild. Well, fellas, if we got fired every time we said something, which that's what I talk about, was hell, we'd have been fired 24 times a piece, which I think I got fired 12. I don't think Eddie got fired half that many times, but I think I did.
Personally, Doug, I could say that promo was the ultimate truth bomb. So, was it because you told the truth, or was it because who you told the truth about that you had to deal with the bullshit afterwards?
It was probably a little bit of both. But listen, guys, it's not always a bad thing if you turn things into your favor, like I think you guys probably both do. But I mean, I've made more money working with Jerry Lawler since I cut that promo than I ever did before.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? So tell me,
right.
you know, I'm trying to think, is it what I did? Is it really that bad or at the time? But what I'm saying, the last, you know, say 5 years of Lawler's in-ring career, I bet you're looking at the one that worked with him probably 80% of the time. And he trusted me more than he did anybody. So I must have, over the years, done something a little bit right.
Absolutely. All right. So, you know, once in a while on the show, we do something called head to head where we compare two wrestlers, right? From different, sometimes same era, whatever else.
5 categories,
Right.
categories, right?
Where does, the categories of Mike skills, Matt skills, back of the baseball card, overall influence on the industry, and the it factor. So we had a show about a year ago, right, Jimmy? Bruno Sammartino, Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler won that. Would you agree with that, Doug?
Well, fellas, I can't believe, which y'all probably haven't seen anything that I've been on, but that's my argument. But I don't want to say argument. It's probably not good to say an argument. But what I tell people is when you grew up down here where I did, and you had Jerry Lawler, Jimmy Valiant, you know, I always say my dad, my brother, Tommy Rich, Austin Idol, the names can go on. Jackie Fargo's whose name I should have said first, and Don Fargo. There's so many different people, but when you can you put, and I'll say, fellas, because I know y'all watched the Northern style growing up, could you say, now, I mean, I know the people that didn't see nothing but Bruno thought Bruno was the greatest, but if you saw a character that they made like Jerry Lawler, I mean, well, I say this how, no, I don't mean how, but I know Bruno was the ultimate worker. Like when my brother was in the WWF, he was the protege of, I think, one of the best champions of all time. And y'all guys might disagree with this, but Bob Backlund, was Bob Backlund not great during his?
There it is.
There it is, brother. We agree 100%. In fact, we had the last Bob Backlund interview before he unfortunately has gone, had some health issues.
Well, see, I didn't even know that, fellas. But to me, Bob Backlund, like I said, I don't know if y'all watched TV during that time when they done the angle to get Bob into the program with the Masked Superstar, where he broke my brother's neck after my brother's car wreck, and he come back and everything. Where they done the neck breaker on the floor deal, I think, with Eddie, what he done, and it started the angle with Backlund and Masked Superstar, and that was freaking good. I mean, but what I was getting to, and I love Bob, and I think Bruno was great to everybody, and I mean, how can you not? This one thing, didn't I read something that said he was Bruno was also the world champ for like 6 or 7 years straight? Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, now, how can you not make everybody love a guy that you have pushed like that? You know what I'm saying? Because I always kind of wondered, And I mean, I know Bruno was a great wrestler, and they said he could freaking really beat everybody. And I know Vince and them love that aspect of it also. But I mean, down here, like I said, me growing up and seeing them build guys such as the guys that I named earlier, to me, I always thought we had the better of the bunch. And I don't mean that bad, because I respect all the great wrestlers. I respect Bruno. I love Bob Backlund, man. Since I was a kid and everything, I met him when I was a kid, when my brother was around him. He was always so freaking nice and everything. I thought he was really the greatest, the greatest babyface guy there ever was.
Well, at the time during those magazine days too, the early '80s when Backlund is champion, Mike and I are of course here on the East Coast. We were always frustrated when we would see the PWI rankings, because it was that during those times of Backlund, Bockwinkel, and usually Harley Race had the belts, and we felt we had the athlete, we had the NCAA champion, we had the guy that in real life Ric Flair said, "Please don't hurt me." So
Hey, y'all are actually, I mean, that's correct. And like I'm saying, Bruno could have probably, he would have beat every one of them. But I'm going to tell you, I don't know if y'all guys got to know or was ever around him or watched much of his work, but out of all those guys you said, and they're all tough and they're all great, but one of them you said that we haven't talked about, but he was freaking great also, was Nick Bockwinkel. Did y'all see much?
Mike doesn't like Bockwinkel. I think he's great. I think he's great. We argue about it on the air all the time. Go ahead.
Y'all are gonna pop, and this was the reason that Lawler gave me one time. I said, "Man, all the different champions, and you could tell the ones that he probably didn't really want to work with too much, because they didn't come through here that often. But now Bockwinkel come through here quite a bit, and I knew he liked to work with him. Well, I was asking a little bit about Bockwinkel, but he did. He loved Bockwinkel. Now, you know who else he really loved? I don't think so much. And I'm not saying he probably liked these guys, but you know which other world champion he really loved to work with?
Who's that?
Terry Funk. That was his favorite, Terry Funk.
Oh.
Terry and Nick. But as far as the NWA champions, like Terry come in here when he was champion one time, and they done a finish during the Dusty stage. They just said it was a Dusty finish, but it was a Terry finish where it looked like Lawler went over, but then they done the thing where the commissioner reversed the decision or something, but everybody at the Coliseum went freaking crazy that night and everything. But man, there's, like you said, and there's no doubt, I'm sure Bruno would have beat everybody during those years that they were. But I mean, it's just like I said, everybody got fed their own world champion during those days, and that's kind of what you had.
I'm loving it, Doug. A little bit on the negative. We had Missy Hyde in a couple of years ago.
Did you say a little bit?
A little bit, sir. So in her book, which I do enjoy good wrestling reads, not that I'm this huge wrestling mark, but I'm very interested what all you all think about life and everything else. But the point is, we know the relationship. We just had John Tatum on, and Tatum talked about when Missy left him for Eddie. But the point I'm bringing up, in the book, Missy claims that your father, yourself, everybody blamed her for the death of your brother. Would that be an accurate statement?
No, it wouldn't. Man, I wish everybody nothing but the best. You know what? If I could change one thing, what I would probably change, I wish that John could have kept Missy. But you know what? If y'all guys talk to John again, man, I love John Tatum. My brother really liked John. I mean, John's cool. Like, people probably don't know this. I mean, John come down here and worked 6-man tags in Memphis with Eddie, and man, we all got along real well after that and everything. But I don't know. No, there's no. You can't blame anyone. There might have been. There was times probably during their marriage that she would make me scratch my head, but I don't even go back to that. Like I said, everybody's got their. Hey, y'all fellas said y'all like to read books. I've got a book out. It's called The Uncrowned King, Hot Stuff, Eddie Gilbert. It come out like a month ago and everything, but I've took it to some signings with me and everything, and I sign it for people there and everything. But I think it's really cool. I'm really proud of it. And with actually getting into that, I want to plug this Music City Sports Spectacular I'm going to be at this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Lebanon, Tennessee at the Farm Bureau Expo Center. and that'd be cool if you want to get a good book. I might send y'all two guys a book, but if anybody else wants one, come on out there and I'll sign you one and everything. But no, I don't blame. I don't put blame at nobody's feet for anything that's happened to my brother, my dad, myself, and fellas. You know, everybody's looking for stuff to blame on people, but right there's the book, fellas. Y'all come out and we'll sign you a copy of that. And like I said, I'll send y'all two fellas a copy if y'all promise.
Yeah, please, man. I would love to read that book. I'll share info with you.
Yeah, but no, I don't blame anyone. Look here, if I blame anything on anybody, I'll blame it on ourselves, because anything that's been done to us that we caused to ourselves, that's our own fault. Y'all fellas know that.
You're a smart man. Listen, I want to get off wrestling a little bit.
Okay.
And again, if you feel you don't want to speak about it, I understand, because it's a very strange world we live in. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts about the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Man, it's a different time right now in the world, and I'm not sure, and I don't know, and y'all's fellows' perspective, I'm not sure what y'all's perspective on this is, but I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a strange time, and it's strange when some of my buddies have called me and asked me, well, what do you think about this? Couldn't have happened like they say it's happened and everything. You know what I say about it? I think it's just it's bad. Anything that's bad and it's not good for the world, I'm against it. And you know, but I mean, guys have called me and said, and y'all guys have probably looked into it and everything, but said the way the shooting happened, all of it's, you know, nothing's what it says it is, but whether anything's what it says it is or not, it happened and it's bad. So, I mean, in the world, if it's not good, to me, if it's not good, it is bad. And anything that's bad is not helping us. So we're kind of going the wrong direction, I think.
Do you think that today's media, let's stick to wrestling on this, Chris, just
Okay.
for shits and giggles, right?
Okay.
Do you think that wrestling has pushed the agenda of transgender thought processes, or whatever the Jimmy, help me with this, like pushing
the narrative?
The narrative. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Do you think an AEW is pushing a narrative that the country is being pushed towards? And how do you feel about social media using that tool to, I don't want to use brainwash, but to direct our younger individuals to a certain way of thinking?
Go ahead. Do y'all fellas think that pushing it, as far as if we went far left or far right, do y'all fellas think in wrestling, as far as them pushing it, do you think the people actually that carries over into mainstream society? Now, don't get me wrong, there's millions of people that watch wrestling, but do you honestly think that's going to shift the narrative, or maybe some young kids that watch, maybe so, but I'm thinking, what about in the days before we ever had any of that? Where did it all start? Do we not need to look probably more that direction than maybe what we're doing right now, or maybe I'm looking too far back?
No, let's dig into it. What are you pointing towards, Doug?
Well, I mean, when you have stuff that's changed, and like you're saying, what was your explanation? How did you say?
All right, so I'll lay it out for you. Let's use AEW, right? Because WWE is a publicly traded company. Right. They have to be very careful on how they approach everything. Right. Okay. Right. So not that there isn't an agenda there either, but let's move towards AEW because it's a little more clearer there. Where you have there's nothing wrong with someone, in my opinion. A male wants to be a female wants to be a male, go ahead, right? It's all good, right? If that's what you want to do, go do it, right? Yeah. But let me just get the point on. I'm going to ask you what you think is when AEW has a transgender wrestler and they present this male as a female as normal, because when I use the word normal,
Right.
I'm sorry, it is not normal based thinking. That's what I mean, pushing an agenda. You have young kids watching a program and they see this and they say, oh, that's normal. And that's what I mean, pushing agenda with no morality.
You know what, and y'all guys are going to laugh or y'all shake your head at this, but you know what, some guys asked me one night a question in the dressing room, and me and Tommy was sitting there, and I said, and it was kind of on these same lines, and I said, look, fellas, my opinion is and it's always kind of been like before, as far as, you know, what draws money and gets people to pay to get their butts in the building and everything. That's kind of what you need, a little bit of everything in a carnivore circus to draw people. But here's the only thing, I can't tell you, all the guys sitting in the locker room, this was my exact words to them. Fellas, I can't tell you whether you want to be a guy tonight or a girl tonight, but what I can tell you is that's got to be your decision, and whether I like it or not, whether y'all two like it or not, that's probably what's going to be. And I'm not giving you, I mean, I'm not trying not to give you an answer, but
are you trying? You're not trying to be Switzerland right now, Doug?
Well,
or what do you? Are you trying to lay that bullshit on me right now? I'm just being, being honest with you, right?
Well, I don't think I'm gonna tell you. I really like, and I know it's not. I'm not saying this because you're saying AEW. I really like the guys at AEW, and they're all really cool to me. But I don't think that, as far as their narratives, I think everything's meant well and everything, but I think everybody can take everything however they want and put it into their perspective, and it will turn it, whether whoever it is, if it's us three running the promotion, where they could say that we're doing something wrong. Because I guarantee you, after we write 6 or 7 segments, that's a hour to hour and a half TV show, there will be somebody saying that we had something on there that offended them. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. And you know what? Your answer is truly legitimate, right? I was just fucking around playing Switzerland. I agree with what you're saying.
Mike, if I can, I want to tie in a wrestling related narrative that I want to get Doug's thoughts on, because we recently lost, and yes, we're from the north, we're up north fans, and we grew up and we watched the transformation of a sport turn to sports entertainment, and we watched Hulk Hogan do everything. It's obvious on the show that we do love Hulk Hogan, but the narrative, how did you feel? I'm sure you heard, as Hogan's life was winding down, and we didn't at the time know his life was winding down. He made an appearance out in California, and the younger generation clearly does not have either A, as Mike has pointed out, any forgiveness or any tolerance due to a narrative where the man made a mistake, apologized, and instead of at least understanding who he is and what he's done for this business, let shit all over him. This is what I want to get your thoughts on. How did you feel when you saw Terry Bollea being completely crapped on by ill-informed, heavily suggested narrative coming from media? Hulk Hogan.
Well, you know what, and this, you can tie Hulk to this, but one of the things I really loved about going to Japan as many times as I did, the Japanese wrestling fans, I don't care who you was, how old you was, what you stood for. If you went over there and worked hard, the older you got, the more you was respected. Now, I think the deal in California, I think it was the deal, like you said, as far as what they thought Hulk might have done that was bad. But to me, I always, I met Hulk when I was a little boy. I met him when I'd been in the business. He was always super nice to me. But I didn't like it any at all, kind of the way they treated me. Like I said, I go back and I see, like, when I was on tours in Japan, they'd bring the older gaijins to Japan, and everybody in the building would stand up and cheer for them for freaking minutes at a time. I'm talking about everybody. And that's where it's different from there to the United States. I mean, I like all the older guys that paved the way for all of us that come behind them to be respected, and they respected those guys so much over there. But here in the States, y'all fellas know we're so far from that now, and that's bad. And like I said, if it's not good and helping us, it's bad. And to me, bad is just, I mean, I tell people I don't like to be negative. I like to think about good things, but like y'all are saying, I mean, stuff like that deal, it was in very sour and poor taste, kind of the way the fans did Hogan and everything. But I mean, you know, like I said, if we was doing a taping right now and us three was writing the TV and we thought it was great, well, 70% of the people might think it was great, but then 30% would say we offended them some way. So there's, you know, it's kind of hard to get past that.
Well, Doug, I also think it has to do with age too, because I remember growing up and going to the Garden. Some of the great matches I remember: Don Morocco, again WWE guy, Don Morocco against Bob Backlund.
Yeah, I love Don Morocco. He was one of the guys. If y'all fellas watched any or did y'all ever come to any of the ECW stuff when it was first starting, or was y'all around then?
So Jimmy was a big ECW guy. I was not.
Okay, I got you. Well, man, if you was a big, like in the Eastern Championship Wrestling days, y'all know Don Morocco was there, and he was really, my brother loved Don and everything. Man, he was so freaking great. I loved him. He was just like the coolest dude that there was and everything. I mean, he was a great dude and everything. And even Snuka, anybody can say whatever they want, but I thought Snuka was freaking great. I mean, might have got in a few things he shouldn't have, but I thought he was a great dude.
Doug, how about the Metal Maniac? Do you remember him?
I sure do.
Hey,
he rode around with Snuka a lot, didn't he? Wasn't it Snuka that he drove around a whole lot?
Doug, you could say it. He was Snooker's bitch. Go ahead. It's okay.
There you go.
Well done. Well done. Do you remember ever being able to get a sentence in when you talked to the Metal Maniac? Because we don't. Well, go ahead. I regress. I digress. Oy.
Slow down, guys. I gotta find the one picture of Metal Maniac. Hold on. Doug, I gotta tell you, your thought processes of this country and even wrestling is spot on. Let me ask you this, though. I know you're going to answer, but I want to ask you this: do you think today's wrestler does not respect the past, like yourself, your brother, some of the Metal Maniac? You know what I mean?
I think probably 7 or 8 out of 10 probably don't, because you got to realize these guys didn't grow up watching wrestling. There it goes.
I found one.
Hey, that's the Metal Maniac I remember. But no, these guys, when you get guys and you tell them that you want actors, and you get guys to come in that are actors or that have never watched wrestling. I mean, some of them guys, you know, that WWE turns into huge stars. They never watched wrestling a time, which I don't hold that against them or anything. But what I'm saying, when you got in the business, like my dad or my brother during those days or something, it was you loved the business. I mean, you got in the business because that's what you want to do. It wasn't just a job, like you going for a tryout and them saying, "Hey, buddy, you look like a wrestler. We're gonna make you a wrestler." You know, to me, that's the difference.
I love it. Doug, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to say thank you for joining Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. I want to share emails with you. I definitely want your book. Just I cannot wait to read it.
Hey, fellas. Hey, thank y'all for having me on and everything. I've heard a lot about y'all, and I've had a couple of buddies. Tommy Rich is like my brother. Closely, I got that brother, and he told me y'all was cool dudes and everything, so I knew y'all would be cool to be on here with.
Tommy Rich is, not to extend this, but me and Jimmy laugh, right? Because we're fans, right? And when we used to pick up the magazines, PWI, and Tommy Rich wins the title, but loses it in 5 days, we're all upset. And then we have Tommy in studio, and we find out, what did we find out, Jimmy?
I didn't like to travel. I want to stay in Georgia.
Take the fucking belt back. You're like, oh my God.
And most importantly, Pharaoh, where's the weed? Oh, never mind.
Hey,
Stop.
you ain't telling me nothing I don't know.
Yeah, we love Tommy. We love Mike. Real quick though, and we talked about this before we started the show. You're a Jet fan?
Man, I am. I have got to watch my Jets. Y'all are going to laugh. And like I told y'all, I figured I was going to ask y'all and say, look, am I the only one out of us three that will admit to being a Jets fan? But when I said that, you said, no, you're a Jets fan also, right?
Yeah, we all are.
Matt, hey, that's cool. I'd come up as up 10 years ago and went to a Jets game and everything. But now that was years ago and everything. But like I told y'all, I guess I'm more of a sports fan, like y'all pop, but y'all was talking about stuff with Lawler. He'd invited me one time to go up, and the Giants was playing, I think the Browns or something like that, which I didn't really care that much about the Giants. I told him I was a Jets fan and everything, but yeah, it's I do like the Jets. I told you I had 3 or 4 jerseys in here. I figured y'all would pop when I said Jets, and y'all would make me go get them and bring them out. But yeah, I've got 3 or 4 Jets jerseys.
I do want to see him. I do want to see him.
Oh my gosh! Now you're gonna make me late. But hey, I've got a Brian Cox. This shows how long ago. Remember when Brian Cox played for
Hell,
the Jets?
Hell
yeah.
I do.
I got one of the freaking real like Brian Cox jerseys, and I was trying to think who else I have. I had got a defensive back jersey.
Darrell Rivas.
No, it's not Rivas. It was one of the hard hitters before Rivas. So, but I've got one of those, and
James Hasty.
I've got another linebacker jersey also.
Oh, linebacker. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Doug, before
Right.
we let you go.
Okay.
Do you believe that Joe Willie Namath needs to pass away in order for the Jets to come back and start winning Super Bowls? This is what me and Jimmy believe, because we believe in
I do not
'69
believe that.
he sold his soul to the devil to win Super Bowl
Would you
III,
stop?
and now we're all paying for it now.
No.
Hey, look. Let's hope not, fellas. Let's hope maybe next
he's
year.
He's going to ride the fence. He's doing Switzerland, Mike.
He is. I got to tell you. Don't tell me you like Aaron Glenn, man, Doug. I'm gonna have to cut you off. I don't even know what to say.
Hey, fellas, he's won 2 straight games.
Yeah, leave him alone. Leave him alone. We haven't lost in weeks. In weeks.
He's only lost 7, fellas. They ain't played but 9, but he's won 2 straight. So if he wins tonight, that'll be 3 straight. Are we going to have a little better feeling for him or what?
Yeah, what have you done for me lately?
No.
I was fixing to say, I hope y'all guys didn't watch my matches, and because I lost everyone, y'all thought I was a bad wrestler, like y'all do you coaches. Y'all just thought I was a bad one probably because I couldn't work real well.
Now, you know what? The one thing about us is we respected all, like, you saw talents. Like, one of our favorite wrestlers is Johnny Rodz. I don't know if you remember Johnny Rodz. We love Johnny Rodz.
Johnny Rodz, and who was his partner?
Jose Estrada.
Jose Estrada. There you go. What was it, Conquistadors?
No, that was Jose Estrada and Jose Luis Rivera, who we also loved.
Who was? Yeah, that was
nerds.
I was trying to think. But now the one from Puerto Rico was also Johnny Rod's partner, right? I mean,
yeah.
And but now didn't they call them something also, or no?
No, it was Rods. They used to call themselves Rods and Estrada.
Yeah, it was Rods and Estrada. We saw them get a tag team title shot against Fuji and Saito at the Garden. Remember, Mike?
Oh, we're getting nerded out. We got to let Doug go. He's got.
That was great, though. Sorry.
Hey guys, it's great. Thank y'all for having me on here. If y'all ever want to talk again, just give me a shout, man.
We will, Doug. Be well, my friend.
Hey,
thank you. The
y'all.
great Doug Gilbert, everybody.
See y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The great Doug Gilbert there, Jimmy Farrell.
Yeah, that was cool. I told you you'd like him.
Cool beans, man.
Yeah.
Cool beans. All right, I want to remind everybody, it is big event weekend. Monte The Pharaoh will be at the big event on Saturday. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we've got Izzy will be here being interviewed, and then at 8:30 is Johnny the Bull. So we've got 2 big interviews tomorrow. Then me and Jimmy will be at the big event. We will be shooting video, Jimmy, so we'll be posting it on our social media.
Okay.
So it'll be fun. I'm very excited. Again, I want to thank the great Doug Gilbert for joining us. Incredible talent, incredible man. And I love his takes on everything, Jimmy. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Straight shooter. You know what? It's funny. We all crack about Switzerland, but sometimes that's really how people feel. Somewhere in the middle does lie the truth most of the time, right, Mike? Maybe it's the. But you know what's funny? Switzerland, if you look them up historically, they didn't exactly ride the fence, my friend. We'd have to. Let's not get into that. That could be a documentary, Mike. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, well, I was surprised he took the high road on Missy Hyatt. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I thought there was a lot of hatred.
he probably has. What do they call it? The Missy fatigue. Would that be the internet term?
Yeah. You know what though? You're right. It is Missy fatigue.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
But anyway, so again,
That's
please
funny.
join us on Friday night. If you're a Jet fan, the Jets have probably started their game against the Pats. I also want to remind everybody, level 500 MP30 for 30% off. All right, guys. I am telling you, Jimmy, your shirt's on the way.
Oh, cool.
Their fabric, I'm not wearing one right now, is so soft. It's so incredible, so beautiful. I love it. And guys, I'm telling you, 30% off for a very high quality t-shirt and our sweatshirt, our tank top. And again, it's not just wrestling. They've got baseball, football, soccer, hockey, MMA. The shirt's a killer. And I'm not only the Prince good, Jimmy, but I got to be honest with you. You got a shirt. Like, how does it feel? It's such high quality, man.
It's silky, and with the discount, you're basically looking at. You mean to tell me you're getting these kind of quality shirts, hoodies, tank tops, whatever, for under $15? Basically, what are you kidding me?
Oh my God,
What
it's
is this,
a
19?
no-brainer.
Is this like 1980 something? I mean, come on, grab that.
So I just want to remind everybody what we have coming up, and then I'm going to let everybody go. Again, big day tomorrow. I'm asking you all, please come out, support us. Thank you for coming on every Thursday, supporting the Howard Stern of Pro Wrestling. Again, I've changed the name, or we've changed the name, Jimmy. So, some people like it, some people don't, but it is what it is. Let's see what we got here. We have coming up, like I told you, tomorrow at 6 p.m., Izzy, who's famously known for being hugged by Bailey. We've got Johnny the Bull tomorrow also at 8:30. Johnny the Bull, very rare interview. You remember him, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely. I remember the hug from Bailey, too, but go on.
On November 21st, ECW legend Jerry Lynn in the house.
That's it, man. I'm good. I can retire now. Jerry Lynn. I'm good.
We're almost home, right? But you really can't retire because on
I
December 4th, Big Ron Shaw returns, and he's got a lot to say, bro.
He does?
Oh, he does.
What's he got a lot to say about? I'm already curious. You've got me wanting to know.
You know what? I just know he's got a lot to say. A lot has happened since Ron has been on. Ron was supposed to come on. He had to cancel because he had to have surgery. Surgery went well, so God bless to our good friend Ron Shaw. But Ron has seen a lot happen to the show, and he's got a lot to say. So that's a big deal.
Okay.
And then after Ron Shaw on December 19th, are you ready?
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Brawler. That's why you can't retire. You can't not hang around for the Brooklyn Brawler, dude.
I know. You always do this to me, too. I'm like, that's it, Mike. I'm going to the old folks for wrestling shock jocks home. And you're like, you can't. I just booked, I'm like,
and
oh,
then,
come on, man.
December 20th, our second annual Christmas party with Mr. USA Tony Atlas.
We're not going to take his Social Security.
That's for sure.
I know that. I did.
And then not posted yet, guys, and you'll love it. 2 years ago, Jimmy came back from Florida. We had a special drinking competition with ECW legends Todd Gordon, Francine, and the Sandman. Well, we'll be revisiting it. And since we're still not in studio yet, we'll be doing by the internet. But Shelly Martinez returns. And we've decided to have a special Christmas party. But here's the deal, guys. We're going to play a game. And it's going to be a drinking game.
Okay.
And there'll be other stuff involved. I'm not saying what. But it will be a show that you don't want to miss. Bruce will be here. He's excited. Bruce can't wait to be part of this, right? So we will be having a competition, and there'll be a lot of drinking and a lot of fun, and it's going to be a fucked up night.
I'm not stripping.
Again, again, I want to give a shout out to the fans.
Yikes.
We got the family, not fans. Phil DeCesare in the house, Jay Will. Michael Rubin, I saw you were asking questions, my friend. I'm sorry. If you want a book, I can reach out to Doug for you. By all means, write us on our webpage or through any kind of social media. I will get in touch with Doug. We'll get a photo. Maria Davis returning. Maria, I'm so glad that things are getting better for you personally. God bless you. Jay Will wished me a happy Veterans Day. So, Jay, thank you so much. That meant a lot to me. Who else we got in the house? We've got John, your favorite guy. He'll be telling everybody that he watched us on our live shot. Paul Shore in the house. How are you, big man?
I watched the live stream.
I watched the live stream. And, you know.
Did you see me?
Chris Lee in the house. Always love to see Chris. I got to get Bruce. Bruce is going to make Chris a poster. Jason Morning, always good to see you, buddy. Robert, how are you? Good to see you. What else we got going on?
Jay? What's up, Rob?
Good people anyway. And AJ.
Mr. President.
By the way, new member AJ, thank you, AJ, for the support. Listen, everybody's support on this channel is not forgetting. Jerry, good to see you also. Jimmy, until we meet again tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
For Izzy and you're Johnny the Bull. So get yourself motivated, get your sleep in. And
what's that?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that? And go Jets!
Oh my effing God. Later.
The Patriots are great again.
Goodbye. Couple things I want to cover, Jimmy.
Yeah.
500 level has now improved on the M&P code. Now go to MP30 for 30% off. Jimmy, I got to tell you something, right? I was at the beach again, 500 level. If you guys haven't looked at the shirts, right, go to the website. It's incredible. And I got to be honest, right? So it was a little chilly today. I brought the dogs to the beach. I was off work for the Jewish holidays,
today.
Right?
It was
cold, yeah. But I have from 500 level, I have a Roman Reigns sweatshirt. Now, usually sweatshirts are not always the nicest fabric, unless I'm into really nice fabric because I just don't like things up against my skin. So usually I'll get thinner type of shirts, but this is a heavy sweatshirt. The fabric, unbelievable. And you're going to get a deal at 30% off, Jimmy. I mean, my God, it's a no-brainer, guys. I am telling you, once you get one shirt from them, you'll get 50. I guarantee it. And they've got all the sports. Yeah, dude, tell me what you think of it, Jimmy.
They're so comfortable. I got to get a long sleeve now. I'm telling you, I got to, because it was chilly today, especially for a guy who's been in Panama City Beach the last 2 years. It was chilly today, and I love the material. It's so silky. Is that the right word for it? I don't know.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, dude.
It's so comfortable. So, yeah, I got to get myself some leveled long sleeves. That's for sure. 30%.
And again, it doesn't, they got plenty of wrestling stuff. They got baseball stuff. They've got football. They got everything, dude. MMA. They got it all, man. And I'm telling you, it's very high quality. Again, 500 level code MP30, 30% off. So if a T-shirt costs you $20, what's 30% off on $20, dude?
It's enough. 10 plus another 20% tacked on top. Not much. It's a steal. It's a steal.
I agree. I want to remind everybody too, the Monte The Pharaoh show, hit the QR code, be willing to check out our shows on YouTube, where we got almost 24,000 subscribers. Go to our Facebook page where we're approaching 27,000 subscribers. And again, if you feel like donating to the show, please go to the Monte The Pharaoh webpage, hit donate. Helps us bring in more guests. Trying to entertain Jim. We've got the big event coming up.